Hey, welcome to another Milepost here on the V-Twin Life. The V-Twin Life is brought to you by a few great companies. One being Crash Inc. Clothing. You can find them out of Oregon. Great company, specialized in clothes, doing work on bikes now. You can check them out at crashinclothing.com. They got a lot of great stuff. Hey, head on over there. Maybe they got something you like. And we can't forget Wild Ass. You like pounding miles, you like riding, you want to be in comfort? Hey, maybe strap a Wild Ass under your ass and ride with an air cushion and be comfortable for hours. And can't forget Custom Dynamics, leading the industry in lighting LED technology. Man, these guys got some great stuff. So head on over to Custom Dynamics and check it out. Now, let's get to another milepost of the V Twin Life. What is going on, everybody? It's good to be back. Took that little hiatus, got a lot of stuff going, but man, tonight's going to be fun. It's always a good time when you can talk with a guy that just loves to ride, enjoys it, enjoys to share stories, and has some awesome adventures and stories, and just loves motorcycles and riding. And much like me, he's a part of with Mile Monsters and does a lot of great things. So, Wrong Way, thanks for coming and hanging out.
Man, great to be here, dude. Looking forward to it. How you
Heck
doing
yeah.
today?
I am doing good. Oh, hey, we got Hops in the house, Iowa Hog.
Oh, hey, Hop.
So let's dive in where I liked with everybody. Where did you find, how did motorcycles come into life for you? Where did it start?
Well, growing up, we had horses, and we rode a lot in this area called the Levee near my town. And a lot of guys rode mini bikes and dirt bikes out there. So I got to ride a few and play, and then ended up coming across a cheap dirt bike thing and started doing that, and just enjoyed that whole world. Graduated high school, went in the Air Force, traveling around the world, didn't get to do a whole lot of riding. End of Air Force time, and a free adult, got back in and just tried it and enjoyed it. Never really went nuts with the riding. Just I had a bike, played with a bike for a lot of years. And then I think I was probably, I don't know, 40 years old, probably 20 years ago. Somebody said, hey, let's go to, I think we went to the Tail of the Dragon. Let's go there. And I'm thinking, that's a long ass ride. But we rode there, and it was like easy, nothing. And I thought, man, this could be some fun. Next thing you know, I'm riding with some local guys, and every summer we're going somewhere, 8, 9, 10-day trip, just enjoying it. And I found myself always wanting to be the one to ride a little further, and they were like, damn, take a break. Let's get a hotel, next exit, another 100 miles. And that just became sort of my thing. Didn't know about the long distance world, didn't know about Hoka Hey, didn't know about Iron Butt, really didn't know about any of this stuff. I just enjoyed getting out and riding. So I'd jump on the bike and go, typically, by myself when it was places that I couldn't get other people to go. And that went for years and years. And then a buddy of mine, well, this guy I ride with local, we ride to this place called Yankees. It was named after Yankee Mike. He died of cancer, I think in 17 or 18, but there was a Hoka Hey bandana hanging on the wall in there. And he said, man, I looked this up. I want to do this. And he started talking all about it. And I remember thinking to myself, that's some crazy mofos, going to do that kind of stuff. And then fast forward a few years, the same guy sends me a link and says, hey, this dude named Chris Hopper, who seems to live right down the road for you, is doing this crazy ass ride. Do you know this guy? And I'm like, nah, don't. I wasn't on any of the long distance motorcycle Facebook pages. I didn't have a long distance rider community that I was aware of. I didn't know anything. So I started following Hops Ride, and there's some crazy stuff. And I thought, man, I love the hell out of crazy stuff, but I always want to know why, what possesses people to do stuff. Is it a cause? Is it, something? But with Hop, it was pretty obvious it was Mile Monsters. So I kind of delved into researching that whole thing, and I was hooked. I mean, how can you not get hooked by that? Here's something, where you can ride your bike, the crazy kind of stuff you want to do for a cause. Uh, and so I kind of, dwelled on that for a little while, and I contacted Riot. I thought, because I found out that Goat is only 3 miles or 3 hours away in Shirts, right near San Antonio. So I contacted Riot. And I said, hey, I want to go see Goat. I see y'all do that. I said, kind of tell me how this works. And he's like, go, be nice, have fun, take a lot of pictures. And so I contacted Jessica, Goat's mom, and said, hey, I'd like to bring a crew, come visit. So we went the week before Christmas of 21 and just took some presents and some smiles and had a really good time, got a lot of enlightenment on Duchenne muscular dystrophy, how all that affects, how it works, the family's view of mile monsters and what kind of impact, it was having on them very early on in the whole mile monster thing. And so, I knew that I had to get a part of that. So I sent out this Facebook message to all my riding buddies, and so even sent a copy to Riot. And the one I sent to Riot, I said, look, I know you get crap like this all the time. People who jump up and who say, I'm going to ride for you and do all this. But I said, here I am. And so I just started, doing what I thought I should be doing, riding and spreading the news. He sent me some swag stuff to pass out. And then I met Hop face to face in, this was before I went to see Goat in November of 21 at the Lone Star Rally, big biker rally in Galveston. And we talked a little bit, and he's like, sign up for Hoka Hey. And as I kind of researched these long distance riders, and if you're going to have an impact on a charity or anything, you have to kind of create a little bit of a name, a little bit of a following to kind of get people to get up off their wallet, for lack of a better word. And so I thought, Hoka Hey. Well, then I looked into it deeper, and I thought, man, that's badass. I'm not sure that I have that capability. Which at the time, if Hoka Hey had started that day, I couldn't have done it just because I was not prepared. But, I talked to my wife, and she said, get ready. What do you got to do to get ready? And I said, well, I got to ride a lot, I guess. And I started talking to guys online. I'd get a hint from Hop every now and then, from Ken Andrews. Some of those guys, they'd kind of throw in a little help. And so I just started riding 1,000 miles. I'd take off on a Saturday and ride. And the first ride was absolutely miserable. I mean, it was supposed to be a low of 40, high of 60, and no rain, and ended up getting in the 30s and raining half the ride. And took me just over 23 hours to do it. And I came home just miserable. I mean, defeated. And my wife, who you'll get to meet in South Dakota next month, you'll get a kick out of her. She just looked at me and she said, but did you die? And I'm like, well, I guess not. And she had been following Hop's Ride and, some of the stuff Riot and Ken Andrews and these guys were doing. She said, it doesn't look that hard on them. What are they doing different? And I thought, okay. And so the first thing I figured out is I needed some quality gear. And so I had to, exchange a few messages with people, and Hop recommended these Gates Tactical waterproof boots. Well, I was already wearing Gates Tactical, and I thought, man, I know those fit and work well. So ordered up some waterproof, ordered up some climb gear, and I just kept riding. And, after about 6 or 7 of these 1,000-mile weekends, and I did it, I was doing 3 weekends a month, 1,000 miles on Saturday, just trying to get, accustomed to it. And after about 6 or 7 of them, it became an easy ride. Not easy ride, but you know what I mean. It didn't kill me and beat me to death, and I could get out there and, be home in, 16 to 17 hours riding hard. And it started feeling good. Well, I had tried to apply for Hoka Hey, and it was full. And Hop had told me, he said, sometimes it reopens. just kind of hang on. So whole time I'm having a conversation about this stuff with my wife, and she's my biggest supporter. She's like, go get them, do it, make it happen. And so she asked me, she said, well, let's just say it does reopen and you get accepted to Hoka Hey. She said, what do you not have that you have to have? And I'm thinking, okay, I don't have any form of tour pack or box on the back of the bike. I think I need a little more room for gear. I didn't have a tracker, didn't have a hotel room in South Dakota, just those kind of things. And so she said, man, get it. Hey, I see Sparks is on. Hey, Sparks.
Yeah.
And so I started ordering up all the stuff that I needed and expanding the riding. The next thing I, scheduled me a BBG, and I went out and did my first 1,500. Took me about 22 and a half. And
so how many of these rides do you think you took before really you felt that, I don't know, that in a way, I guess say that the, doing these long ridings in a way became fun or, more of an addiction in a way? Because I know for me, it's like the first, like, man, this was a blast. This is great. And it's not easy, but they get addicting and it's fun.
Yeah. The first one I did was really bad, but I'm a zero quitter. That's there's no quit. And so I knew I just had to figure out what it was that I needed to improve my possibilities of doing well at this. And a big part of it, from the military days, I was in the Air Force, and, which wasn't like Sparks or Taekwondo. I think Sparks was military. Taekwondo, wasn't any of that hard stuff. But we had a 3-point evaluation. We evaluated our equipment, which was like, for me, it would be the motorcycle. We evaluated our PPE, personal protective equipment, which would be what you're wearing. And then we evaluated the body. Is anything broke or hurt? And so from the first ride, the bike was fine. The body was fine. I didn't have the correct PPE. I didn't have the correct gear. And so I went and bought all that. So the second ride, which was also in January, I did 3 1,000s in the first January when I started this. The second one was much easier because I was comfortable the whole ride. The distance was not the issue. It was the fact that you have to do the distance no matter what the weather or conditions are. You don't get to tell Hoka, hey, let's not ride today. The weather sucks. It's
raining.
Yeah, it's going to go whatever. And then by the third one, I had put my auxiliary tank on there, so I wasn't stopping for gas, which helped in enjoying the riding. Obviously, you can't take that on Hoka Hey. But by the third one, I was having fun. And then the whole month, I did 3 in January, I did 3 in February. Those were fun. I was having a good time in there. And then I did a couple of BBGs in March. And, it was not getting, I don't want to use the word easy because, it's not easy, but it was getting where it was very enjoyable, but still.
Yeah, BBG is not easy whatsoever.
No. Well, it's kind of funny. And I hate to jinx myself, but it is now.
For some of the guys, if you're, in the side, you're not sure, a BBG, a Bun Burner Gold, is on a 1,500-mile ride in under 24 hours. It's not a simple task. You got to go. They say average speed is 63 miles an hour for your entire ride.
Yeah, I rode out and I rode out and saw Turbo.
And my wife's watching.
Oh, yeah. Wrong way. My wife does worry, but I did a BBG out to see Turbo and got out there early Saturday morning, spent all day Saturday with him, slept Saturday night, spent about 5 hours with him Sunday and got back on the bike, did a BBG home. So 2 of them in, like a 3.5 day weekend. So they do get easier, but it's kind of funny. I tell people anymore, after Hoka Hey, America got real small. Everything's a short ride. So that's kind of
good point for, when you're in that class of riding and, whatnot, I can see that point.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. I'm in that class of riding. I'm not in that class of rider. yet. I'm still working toward
Hey, I
toward
mean,
that.
to be a finisher of the Hoka Hey, Mike, you are in that class of rider. I mean,
Well,
that's
thank
just
you. Uh,
that's how I see, because that's an event that, I think you could go with the old saying, it separates the men from the boys. It's like Craig Johnson had a good point when I talked to him about it. He goes, ask, what are you shooting for, 10, 11 days? He's like, no, I'm shooting for about 13 and a half. I'm going to finish. That's my goal. And man, that's a very valuable point.
yeah,
When you're a new rider on that, I mean, I could only imagine.
yeah. I beat my Hoka Hey goal by 6.5 hours. My goal was to get there before the end of the road party, and I got there 6.5 hours before the end of the road party. But I didn't sleep that night before. I rode all night to be able, because I was afraid if anything went wrong, I wouldn't make it. So I was just kind of hedging my bet, not sleeping, and rode all night. But moving on after I did a couple of BBGs. Then I did the ride around Texas, which you map the outline of the Texas, and it was 3,220 miles. And I think the standard with IBA is like 80, and there's like 70 or 74 hours or something for the gold. And I just decided I was going to not like crazy ride, because I was still riding pretty slow back then, but I decided just to really stay on the bike and go. And I ended up doing the first 2,000 in under 36, uh, and got
Dang.
my what do you call it, SS2K gold. And part of that was I was trying to see how long I could ride before the first time I really felt sleepy. I was going to ride till I felt sleepy and just kind of get an idea of what my body would do in that situation. I ended up going 40 hours and ended it,
Jeez.
in this little town, 10 o'clock at night. And I was afraid to go any further because it was going a direction in a road, an area I had never been before, didn't know what was out there. And, I didn't know at what point is the body going to say, we're going to sleep right now? I
Yeah.
just didn't know. So I locked it down right there, slept 4 hours, and then finished the ride in 63 hours, which, I, that's not incredibly fast. It's getting it. Twister did that ride in 60. Um,
Jesus.
yeah. So,
But it's like, what you're talking about, knowing when you're sleepy. It's like Ken Anders made a good point on one. He goes, there's a difference between being tired and being sleepy, and
correct.
you have to know the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Tired, by day 5 or 6 on Hoka Hey, I was getting tired about halfway through the day, but I wasn't getting sleepy. And so, you just push through the tired and make it happen. When the sleepy comes, you have to do something about it. Hey, there's Twister. Um, we were just bragging about you and your ride around Texas, 60 hours, crazy speed rider. But yeah, when you get sleepy, you gotta shut it down, because if not,
Yeah.
you're going to end up hurting yourself that way. But so after I finished, ride around Texas, then it was pretty much Hoka Hey time. Um, so I took a ride out on the way to Hoka, went out and saw Turbo, and then up to Hoka Hey, and got to Hoka Hey, deer in the headlights. Here's all these names you see all the time, you know, people out knocking the crap out of the mile. So I kind of kept my head down, my mouth shut, and just did a whole lot of listening, trying to pick up anything I could to make it a little easier to get to the finish line. And I tell you what, uh, one piece of advice for Hoka Hey, and I wish I could remember exactly who said this, because it was a great piece of advice. But they said, you can't ride day 2 if you don't survive day 1. And I thought, that's kind of a weird statement. And so I asked them about it, and they said, you watch day 1, the number of bikes you see laying on the side of the road, you see people backtracking to pick up the gear that's fallen off, you'll be swerving to avoid gear that's falling off. Said day 1 and it was true. I was shocked at the amount of, so I just kind of laid back and took it really easy, day 1, and then just made it, one day at a time.
Did you
Kind of
second
right.
guess yourself? You got up thinking, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Am I ready for
Uh,
this type of adventure?
no, I'm pretty adventurous. My mom was a very adventurous person, raised us kids to be that way. And so, the adventure thought was all good. And, I just kept telling myself I have trained correctly. I can do the miles. I just have to. I'm a terrible navigator, dude. I get lost in Walmart parking lot. I mean, my brother gave me that name wrong way a long, long time ago. After that guy on Gilligan's Island that used to fly in the plane, and they'd give him a message to take back to civilization. He'd leave going the wrong way every time. Uh, that's what my brother told me. He said, that's how you ride. And so, and I kind of lived out quite a bit of that on the Hoka
I
Hey.
was waiting for that.
I mean,
That's my wife.
Yeah, I went some crazy miles, but, I just took the combination of, I believed in the training that I had done. I believed that I could do it. And I'm a zero quitter. So, if the body wasn't broke and the bike wasn't broke, I wasn't going to shut it down. It was just, I was just going to plug it away day after day. And, 1 year ago today, I got to the finish line. July 9th was my finish day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, it was an absolute blast. I encourage anybody who thinks they're ready to give it a try. I don't know how they weed out who's gonna get in, who's not. The interview process, Junie, it's like she tries to talk you out of it, because you hadn't ridden enough, and then Beth tries to scare you out of it because everybody's going to die. I mean, that's the way the interview process felt. I don't know if I was the only one that way, but yeah, it was great. But man, Hoka Hey, that dude, I got story after story from that thing. Sparks just came on. I rode with Sparks way early on for a short amount of time until I went the wrong way. He went the right way, I went the wrong way, and ended up catching back up to him a few days later. That happened a lot. I'd go one way and people go the other, and time I figured out where I was going, then I'd see him again a couple of days later. But yeah, that was cool. I saw Sparks quite a bit on the ride. That's a tough cookie. Man, the bike kept having shock problems, kept breaking, and he kept plowing away and getting it done. That was pretty cool.
Well, yeah, and he was riding not your normal, touring class beggar.
Now, what is that, a breakout that he rides?
Switchback.
Switchback. Yes, that's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no lack of riding in that man. He can ride. He's a tough cookie. He fought.
He finished.
Yeah,
yep.
He did. Yeah. If his bike would have gone, continuously without, he'd have been there easily a day ahead of me. He can get it done. He was doing really well.
So you think after the Hoka Hey, that's where really the endurance, long distance riding really got you hooked when you're able to finish that? It's like, this is just no other feeling like it.
Well, I think when I really got hooked was after the ride around Texas, because I had to ride a couple hours to get to Galveston, because you have specific starting points that you can on the ride around Texas, start and finish. So I had a couple hours ride each way to get to the starting point and the finish point. And after the finish, I got home about 1:00 in the morning, and my wife was up waiting for me, and I felt great. And I mean, it was just adrenaline. What's the chemical thing that goes on in your brain when you get the high from endurance?
Endorphins.
Endorphins. Yeah, I was buzzed, and I'm telling you, I was hired to kite. I couldn't wait I wanted to take a nap, get back on the bike, and go to Kansas or something. It was just that good of a feeling. And so doing it through Hoka Hey, at the end of Hoka Hey, that's, with that, it's difficult, some of this talk about, because I don't want to sound arrogant. I am a humble, I'm working my way through this like everybody else. But when I got to the end of Hoka Hey, I felt like I could go anywhere. Give me a destination, get out of my way, here I come, type of thing. Because the riding puts you through the weather, the roads, all the struggles for day after day after day after day. And when you make it through all that, you really have a lot of confidence in yourself. So that's kind of my feeling about all of that. Who's Mile Monsters Inc. on there? Is that right?
I'm betting that's right.
Okay, very cool. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. But yeah, so I made it through Hoka Hey, and I really felt good. Had a great time. I want to come back and tell some stories about Hoka Hey, but I want to kind of move along as far as the direction. Um, I went to the end of the road party, went to my hotel about midnight, got up 7 o'clock in the morning, um, and then I headed due east and rode to Pennsylvania because Alfie, one of our Mile Monster boys,
Hmm.
was in the States for treatment, and he was staying at Drew's house. Drew was in South Dakota, obviously, with the with Turbo and with Goat, but he wasn't there, so I wanted to see him. So I rode to Pennsylvania, which when I was planning this, you know, Turbo first, and then Hoka Hey, and then going all the way east, and then coming back toward home. I thought that's pretty bold, but it was idea was if I finish Hoka Hey, what can I not do? That was sort of the attitude without being,
The
crazy arrogant.
mindset.
Yeah, exactly. And so I did. I went and spent a day with Alfie and had an absolute blast. And then I rode to Coleman, Alabama, um, where KJ, and you met him, I know. KJ, one of the monster riders, crashed out, broke both legs. He lives in Coleman, Alabama. So I rode down there and spent a day with him. And then he took me to visit an 18-year-old DMD boy in his town named Matthew, and got to hang out with him for a little while. And then the next day, um, I rode all the way back home. And so it ended up being 17,800 miles in 27 days. And I absolutely loved every minute of it. I mean, it was, but the, what made it so good, it's the whole Mile Monster thing. You know, seeing Turbo, I saw Goat right before Hoka Hey, and then went and saw Turbo before Hoka Hey, and then saw Turbo, Goat, and Drew at the end of Hoka Hey, and then got to see Alfie and then Matthew. I love the riding. Don't get me wrong, but there's something. Uh, it's above and beyond the feeling of just riding, getting to do something for these boys. And so that's why on my rides, I figure out a way to get Goat on the route in every ride that I do out of here so that I can stop and visit them. Man, Kimberly's giving away my stuff. Broke my right foot and both hands um, on Hoka Hey. I had some hand issues. I was having trouble, had a minor little crash. Bike bounced on the right foot. It wasn't, I don't tell too many people that because I don't want anybody feeling sorry for me. It wasn't that bad. It was just minor crap. And I did have 2 hand surgeries on each hand to get everything corrected, but it wasn't like, I'm some tough ass and rode through. You know what I mean? I got hurt. I got on the bike, used a little duct tape, kept riding. I think Mama Beth got a little mad at me when she found out, but you know, what are you going to do? She didn't kick me out. She gave me my finish. So that was all good. And she's letting me come back. Uh,
I mean, Kim's got a point. I mean, you're doing that, and you're not exactly whole, you could say, during the
yeah.
time, and you persevered and you keep going.
Yeah. Well, I've got and I wish my bike was here. My bike's in the shop. I have this button, with a clip on it that Turbo gave me. It says Team Turbo, and I put it on my. In fact, I took it off the bike because my bike's in the shop. I can show it to you. Can you see this right here? Let me see if
No.
I can get.
Okay.
Okay, it's upside down. It says Team Turbo. That's my tank bag. Yeah, me and Turbo through that little button. We had a lot of conversations out there on the road because it's like these boys don't get. I'm gonna cry. Uh, these boys don't get a choice to live with this crap they got. Hey, hang on one sec.
You're good, buddy.
Party foul. Now I got a little party foul. Spilt my beer over here. Had to get a towel. But no, these boys don't get their choice of what they're dealing with. And so I thought, this little bit of crap I'm dealing with, I'll be fine. I'll make it to the end, and I'll get things fixed and I'll be good. And that's the way it turned out. So I just kept plowing. I mean, what are you going to do at that situation? No quit. I mean, I'll tell you the truth. I was afraid to riot. I was afraid if I quit, he was going to thump on me or something. Because, Riot, I don't think he likes quitters much. But so I just kept plowing. Enjoyed the shit out of it. I'm telling you, dude, it was just a thrill to be able to do it. And to get to see all those boys, in one trip. There's just a lot of motivation involved in getting to see.
Absolutely. I can agree.
Yeah, that was cool. But some Hoka Hey stories, some of the fun ones, after the end of Hoka Hey, I was amazed at how little I could remember. It was like just blank spots in a lot of it. And then as I saw pictures and as I talked with people, I rode with Louis Bergeron, the French Canadian, for a couple of days. At the end, Ronimo and I rode together, 3 or 4 days, various other people in between. And, you talk to them and a lot of it kind of starts to come back. And I don't know, if that's just me, being an old guy and riding too damn many miles at a time or what, but some of the funner stories, Ronimo and I rode in the rain all day from Portland going east toward Idaho and rode late into the night on that road on the river in the rain. And we just could not we started looking for a place to sleep, but we wanted to try to find something dry and just couldn't find it. And we're cruising along.
There ain't much cover on that highway. That's for damn sure.
So we finally come into this little town and it was right on the river. It wasn't on the route. We just veered off about half a mile into this town because we were needing gas and we were afraid to go any further. And we saw this warehouse that had like a cutout on the outside of it. You couldn't get into the warehouse, but it was under roof and they had a bunch of pallets stacked in there. And we just rolled the bikes right up in there and thought that's a great sleeping point. Well, as soon as we got there, here comes a cop. And it's, 1 o'clock in the morning. And so the police pull up and I just walked right out to the road because, I didn't want any trouble. And I figured, I'm not going to act like I'm hiding. And this young lady gets out and she, immediately tells us, you gentlemen are trespassing. And it's kind of funny. My first thought was, I'm cool with that because trespassing doesn't get you kicked out of Hoka Hey. Speeding ticket maybe, but not trespassing. So I'm still good. And so I said, yes, ma'am, I'll agree with that. And I told her the story and what we were doing and all that. And she was just nice as she can be. She said, it is not legal to camp under the pergola in the city park. And I said, there's a pergola in the city park. And she said, yes. And it's not legal to camp there. And she just looking at me. And then it hit me. She's trying to tell me there's a pergola over there. And then she says, and I'm the only one on duty until 5 a.m. The guy that comes on 5 a.m. is not nice like me. So I wouldn't be sleeping in the pergola, under the pergola after 5 a.m. And I thought, yes, ma'am. And she drove off.
That sounds like the city park in Arlington, Oregon, where we camped last year, a bunch of us, but we just took over. Well, 5 of us in the parking lot. Steve was in like a little cabin pergola thing and somebody else. And the funny thing, I can remember when Steve set up his bed, he actually fell asleep sitting upright against the wall. He literally set his bed down. He sat down. He was asleep within seconds, sitting upright. It was comical.
Man. We rolled over there and it was fully covered. I was like, man, this is heaven. And so we threw our gear down and I slept like a dream. So that was pretty damn good. Ronimo hit a deer while we were riding together. and tore up his bike. But he's a tough cookie. He kept going. Oh, Taekwon, Taekwon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's his real name? Don. Yeah, Drash.
Thrasher
Thought it ends in F or something. Trashif. Uh, he
starts
was
with D,
riding with.
Thrasher or something.
Yeah, he was riding with us that day, but he was laying way back, and so Ronimo blows his deer apart, split it right down the middle, and we're stopped and kind of putting all the motorcycle pieces in a pile. We felt bad leaving garbage on the side of the road, but we couldn't carry it, so we kind of piled it up nice where it'd be easy to clean up. And Taekwon rolls up and he goes, "Man, somebody came through here recently, just hit a deer." Well, he hadn't seen the front of Ronimo's bike yet, so he didn't know it was him. We pointed that out, and he looked at it. He was a funny dude. But yeah, he's like you said, he's one of them guys you need to get on here. He's a absolutely.
I'm working on it. He's a little shy, so he said he was going to watch this and he would get back to me soon.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, Oregon coast may have been there. There's Taekwon.
Drashif.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Thanks, right? Yeah, I couldn't get the last name. When you get introduced to these guys with a road name, it's hard to get anything else tied to them.
Good point.
So that boy can ride. He rode with us. We ran into him at the third checkpoint. Am I right? The third checkpoint or the second? No, third checkpoint. And he was looking pretty rough. I mean, he'd been riding a lot of hours because his bike broke down and he lost about 24 hours getting a new bike. So he rode with us 2 days. And then one morning he just got up and left. And he beat us to the finish line by 8.5 hours in 2 days. He was getting it. He can ride. But
I think he just finished the IBR rally.
Yes, I saw that. I tell you what, that's a beast of a ride. I really haven't ever asked anybody which they think is harder, Hoka Hey or the IBR. I've not looked at the rules for the IBR. I'm nowhere near. I wouldn't even think about it. I've not done any of the rallies. I wanted to do Hops Rally this past year, but I couldn't because of hand surgery. So I'm going to do it this year, just to get in it. Eyes that red. What's he talking about?
Probably when he rolled into the finish line. Taekwon after riding insane hours.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I looked terrible when I got there. But yeah, he can flat go. But I was just thinking about some of the beautiful parts of the ride. I love the Oregon coast. That was absolutely fantastic. Just a beautiful ride. Yeah,
the Oregon coast can be great. It can also be. It's hard to make time on the Oregon coast, especially in the summertime, because there's got to be 50, 60 state parks all the way up and down the Oregon coast. So traffic it's easy to get congestion and traffic, but it is gorgeous scenery, but just don't plan on making a whole lot of time if you're ever trying to do it for fun.
Yeah, we didn't make any real time on that road. I just remember how beautiful it was. You'd be up on the cliffs, and next thing you know, you'd be down at beach level, and then you're going through an old coastal town, and that was pretty cool stuff.
It's some beautiful scenery
on that. Yeah, that the interesting part about Hoka Hey, you're riding so many miles every day, the scenery changes dramatically day to day. It's just, we're in Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes, and there were water everywhere. And you get up to the Great Lakes, and a couple days later, I mean, you're in the Gila National Forest, and then on Coronado Trail, and then you're in the southern Arizona desert, and then you're in the Nevada desert. It's just every time you turn around. but just absolutely, whoever planned the routes. Here's Twister. She said the Oregon coast on the 4th of July. Well, I was about 3 days behind you at that point. I did 4th of July in South Lake Tahoe. So that was quite a zoo there, but a great fireworks show.
I can imagine.
On that, they put on quite a show. Yeah, the scenery, America, you get off the interstates in America, it is absolutely beautiful out there.
See, I think that's where it'd be the biggest experience of the Hoka Hey is You know, from the stuff I've read, is it's mainly you're on back roads, you're not running interstate. So yourself, the individuals that have ridden it, you're seeing America, how it should be seen.
Yeah. And the animals, man, there was constant um, from the antelope. What are those? What are those antelope called that we were
Speed
pronghorn?
goats. Oh yeah, pronghorn. The nickname they're speed goats.
Okay,
Those
they are
things are
fast.
so fast.
Yeah, we saw a bunch of pronghorn.
They
Uh,
taste really good too.
really, well,
Oh,
I'll have
they
to
are
think.
damn good eating.
But tons of deer in the road, and elk. It's like they're not afraid of you.
No.
They'll sit in the road, and I remember stopping the first time. 6 or 8 of them in the road, and I'm thinking, now are these like buffalo? I get up there, they're going to beat the shit out of me, or do I ride up there and honk and they're going to move? And so I just kind of eased forward and stayed on the horn, and they just kind of slowly walked off the road. And I thought, okay, and moved on. But yeah, there was animals, just absolutely beautiful stuff up there. Except the guys who were running over them.
Yeah.
I don't wish that on me.
Yeah, an elk, that would definitely ruin your day on a motorcycle, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was cool.
I know
But
maybe
yeah,
a moose, if you duck, you can go underneath it if you can time it right.
only saw one moose, and it was quite a distance, so it was a little difficult to really tell how big it was. Everybody says they're massive. I really
Oh
couldn't
yeah.
tell that. The
The
elk,
crazy thing about moose is they're the only one in the deer family the eyes don't reflect headlights.
really.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't know that. Man, that's yeah, new news here. I guess I really didn't notice that on any of the animals. I just, tried to avoid them, and I didn't. I didn't have to make 6 or 8, kind of little evasive maneuvers to avoid hitting stuff. So that wasn't too bad of a thing overall. And loved the camaraderie of the Hoka Hey. Uh, you come across people, and riders just always checking on you, how you doing. Uh, just keep plugging along, that kind of thing. And one funny story, preacher Tommy Myrick. I don't know if you've seen any of his stuff. Know him? He's
I'm not sure.
he's only about 50 miles up the road. I was at a dealership that he does business with called the Ranch, and he came over, and he's like, wrong way, and goes to give me a big hug. So I give him a hug, and he steps back, and I said, okay, let me just be honest with you. Who are you? And he said, I'm Tommy Myrick. And I'm like, okay, I'm still confused. He said, I'm preacher. And I'm like, oh my goodness. First time I'd ever seen him without a helmet on. He was behind Ronimo and I 3 days in a row. And I guess he didn't want to ride with anybody. And so he'd roll into wherever we were camping a half hour to an hour after we did. And I'd always just look up because he'd park relatively close to us. And I'd see a guy in a helmet, and I would see he had a thin blue line uh, cut on. And so I would see his name, Preacher. And I saw that, evening and morning for 3 or 4 days in a row. But he wore a full face helmet, never saw it up, never saw it off, had no idea what the dude looked like, until I got to meet him right here at home. That was pretty funny. But yeah, he's a good guy. Um, yeah, just the Hoka Hey thing, meeting just a group of really super people, great riders. I tell my wife all the time, I think the more time you spend on a motorcycle, the nicer you get, because the long distance riding community is without a doubt the nicest group of guys I've ever ridden with. I mean, nothing against the dudes I ride with local. I ride with pretty cool guys, but in general, these guys are just laid back, uh, fun to hang out with, fun to ride with, just cool people.
I think in traveling via motorcycle as opposed to, in the car, the cage, it's so much more personal, just more enjoyable. I think it's just, you know, uh, if a person's never experienced it, you could give them all the, you know, advice and what it's like, but you still will never get it until you try it.
Yeah,
And it's just, there's nothing else like it.
yeah, yeah. It's besides the enjoyment of riding a bike, getting off the interstate and seeing some back roads,
Mm-hmm.
is there's some just really cool. One of the things that I've got to learn, and I'm doing a little better this year. Last year, my whole time of riding last year, if I took 10 pictures, that would have been a bunch. And I see these guys that constantly post these pictures, and I ride right by shit. And I think that was cool. And I thought, I've got to start taking some pictures and posting just because it's fun to look back on. So I've done a little
Yeah.
more of that, this year. I keep trying to beat myself into it. I got to get out of that mindset, of about miles and miles, and which is cool because I get to see the stuff, but I don't get to share the stuff.
Right. I'm 100% with you. I'm really bad about it. Then it's like, you see Riot and Hop and all them, they're going to casino, fishing, doing all this stuff. Like, how in the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's easy to, I would say it's easy. I enjoy stopping and doing things and seeing things, but some reason I can't seem to, I ride off and I'm like, I should have taken a picture of that. Should have posted a picture of that kind of thing, just to kind of share a little more of the excitement and, what's going on. I need to do a little what is that? Oh, that's what U-turns. Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Okay. You got me on that one.
Fucking Brian. Oh, Brian, you're a funny guy.
Who's this?
Brian the biker. See, that there's this ongoing joke. I can't even remember where it started that I'm in Seattle. So, Brian, sorry I'm late. Seattle traffic sucks. Yeah.
Oh.
It's the joke that won't die. Funny guy.
Yeah, I gotta start posting up some more pictures. But yeah, that's been when I first started training for Hoka Hey, I was living on the bigger roads. And I don't know why. That's just the way we tourists traveled. If we're going to Colorado, we try to get there the fastest way possible. If we're going to the East Coast, we try to get there. So I've kind of had to reevaluate, retrain my mind to all these cool roads. And the nice part, a lot of these guys, I've sent messages to a whole bunch of long distance riders. Hey, what do you know about this road? Back when I was planning my Monster 100, when I first started planning, I sent, Hop a question. You ever rode this road? And he was like, oh yeah, great road. Now I've put it in 3 of my routes so far, and it's just a 2-lane in West Texas, but it's smooth, twisties, hills. I mean, just one of those roads that you would never pick because it's not a state highway, not an interstate. You've just got to find those. And so I found myself more, if I'm going to go west and there's a road going west, I'm going to take a chance on it, see what it looks like. And it's either going to be sure that's a good road or no, that road sucked. When I went to Rendezvous, I took a couple of those kind of roads there and back. When I went to the Gauntlet Drop in Denver just a couple weekends ago, same thing. Some of those roads that, when you try to map one, it doesn't come up, but they turned out to be really good roads.
And I did the same thing on my Monster 100. I heard a lot of people talk about it's 129 in Washington from Lewiston. You go down to Enterprise, Oregon. When you hit Oregon, it becomes Highway 3. And you're going through the Chief Joseph National Forest, up and down through the canyons, down by the river. And even my dad, some other guys said, dude, it's an absolute awesome ride. So it's like, what if I go this way? I can tie that or go that way. And it was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, you start marking out the roads that are good, and then you figure out how to tie them together to make a route. And
yeah, I'd say the only iffy part was you get in that area, you're free range cattle, like you're familiar with down there.
Yeah.
And we came around one corner, going a good clip, and all of a sudden there's a herd of cattle, and that's when I go to hit my rear brake, and like I don't have no rear brake because I'd already punctured my brake line. Like shit, downshift front brake, but it's just we're out in the middle of nowhere. And friend Steve was riding with us. He was the other monster rider with me that day. We were the same day. We both live here in Port Angeles. He's like, dude, there's this little restaurant. I think it's called Bogan's Oasis in the middle of absolute nowhere. Here's a restaurant down by a river. And he goes, they had awesome ice cream and milkshakes, but they were closed for a private wedding reception, but they let us come in and use the restroom. But he goes, it's like you come around a corner, you drop in this canyon, bing, here's a restaurant. It's like, dude, there's nothing for 75 miles either way, and here's a restaurant. Like, holy crap.
Those are the cool ones to ride to because they're not flooded with traffic. All the city
Yeah.
folks ain't there bothering you kind of situation. Yeah, that's cool, man. So riding, upcoming stuff. I got some cool rides in the works. Right now, I don't have a bike. Bike's broke down in the shop. I was on the way home from Gauntlet Drop, and I took a detour through Oklahoma City to complete the June ride of the month. I needed some pictures and stuff there. As I'm going into Oklahoma City, I thought my radio was making a crazy noise. It was just screeching. So I turned the volume all the way down, and it didn't go away. So I pulled over, figured out pretty quick it was a fuel pump, and I thought, this ain't good. So I made arrangements for a rescue if I needed it, and then jumped on the bike, got home, got it in the garage. It wouldn't start. They picked it up, hauled it to the dealer, and it's been there for 2 weeks, and just a battle. They hook up the fuel pressure gauge. Well, the bike started for them, and they hook up the fuel pressure gauge. It says it's got plenty of fuel pressure, and they're telling me Harley doesn't want to pay for a pump, even though it's louder than the radio because it's got enough fuel pressure. So if we haven't resolved this by Tuesday, I'm just going to go pick it up, fix it myself, do something with it. I got to get, but I've never had a bike break down a lot. This one has broke down over and over and all different stuff. So as soon as I can get it back put together and get it home and get all my long distance stuff off of it, I'm going to trade it and get me a new one, keep moving. But bike dependent, if I have a bike, one of the Mile Monster rides, I think it's called the Mega Monster. It's a 3,013 mile. You draw the letter M, and you got 60 hours to do that one. So I've got that one on the map. Ride from here up to somewhere in Missouri, and then down to Birmingham, Alabama, and then up to somewhere in Ohio, and then down to Jacksonville. So I'm going to go hammer that out. That's all back roads, so that should be a ton of fun. I posted up that route just to see who lives on it, see if anybody, and I got a few messages. It's always cool. I try to figure out where people live, Hoka Hey people, long distance people, and then get to visit, a little quick visit on the route. That just makes for a ton of fun. So I had a few people reply that are on that route. So looking forward to that one. And then August, I'm going to Rapid City, South Dakota for the Monster 100, which you'll be there for the end of the party. You'll be there with Craig, but I'm going to ride up.
Me and the wife will be there.
Okay. I'm going to ride up on Wednesday and then have Thursday, Friday, Saturday to play, and then way early Sunday morning, get on the bike, come back. So that's
we're going to depart Saturday morning and then head back this way. But we'll be up there. Our plan, we're going to leave here the 3rd of August, which is a Thursday night. And then we'll get to Sturgis Saturday night, stay with Craig, give us Sunday to kind of go look around. And, we want to check out Devil's Tower and stuff that we didn't get to see last summer. And then, then we'll be busy working with Craig Monday through Friday. And I think Friday he's still working out so we can take off to meet Hop and then do the rally and everything. The end of the party.
Yeah. That's cool. Now, Devil's Tower is cool. It was on our Hoka Hey route. It was a little hazy when I got there. I didn't get there's one thing I did stop and take a picture of. I didn't get a good picture, but that's an impressive structure. And I looked up, studied the history of it a little bit, to the Indian tribes local to that area. It has a lot of significance. That's pretty important.
We saw it, going by on the interstate, but never went to visit it. And actually, my wife's really got in, listen to all of her murder mystery podcasts, but there was actually, I'll have to find it. Was it called like National Park After Dark? I think there was actually I want to say it's the 50s, a guy parachuted and landed on top of it.
Wow.
And then couldn't get back down. And he was stuck up there, but they were sending him, the whole story, they were somehow sending him steaks and beer and whiskey up top while he was stuck up there. And it was a crazy story listening to it. And it's all documented and whatnot, but it's like, that is absolutely insane.
Yeah, that whole area up there is beautiful. Before Hoka Hey, Riot and Hot and Twister and me and David Elizondo went and rode Custer through Custer State Park and Needles because we didn't know it was on the route. It actually ended up being on the end of the Hoka Hey route. So, Needles is cool to see while you're up there. Devil's Tower. I mean, there's just that's some.
If you ever did that, the other one you need to see, which is right by Custer's, Iron Mountain Road.
That's what I keep reading about. My plan is to go there next month on that
Oh, I
trip.
think I have it nailed on the road because it's
I've seen it. Yeah, you posted a picture of it.
yeah. 17 miles, 314 curves, 14 switchbacks, 3 pigtails, 3 tunnels, 2 splits, and 4 presidents. And it is an awesome ride because
Yeah.
there's a few spots on it where you can see Mount Rushmore through the trees, and it is an absolutely
Okay.
awesome
Yeah,
ride.
I'm gonna leave here real early Wednesday and ride up, and then I'll have Thursday, Friday, Saturday to kind of goof off and see some things. My wife will be flying in Thursday afternoon, so but I'm gonna take the bike with the tank on the
Yeah.
back, so she won't be able.
Spearfish that is an awesome area. Me and Setzer and my son Hayden and old
Okay.
Springer Mike and Wrenchbender, we went up through Spearfish Canyon. It is gorgeous, and that's the thing. My wife and I learned it's like we want to get back to the area, but it's like to really absorb everything and see stuff. If you like, the history, and a guy needs a week there. It's,
Yeah.
go there, and June would be a great time, and do Deadwood and Mount Rushmore, all these little towns, and Spearfish Canyon, the Black Hills, and everywhere. And you need some time to see it all and absorb it. It's a beautiful piece of country.
I'll give you my funny Deadwood story. So Deadwood, I don't remember if it was on the route for Hoka Hey or near the route for Hoka Hey, but yeah, none of that matters when you're riding with me. I was in Deadwood on a Hoka Hey, whether I was supposed to be there or not. Lost as a goose in a snowstorm, trying to figure out where I was supposed to be. And I see a Hoka Hey bike in a parking lot. And I see a guy sleeping on the bike. I mean, he had his head on his tank bag and his feet on top of the rear pegs, and he was sleeping. And I thought, my goodness, I must be somewhere near the route because there's a Hoka Hey rider. But I couldn't make sense of the route and that. So I went over there, and as I'm walking up to him, he woke up, and we talked for a moment. His name was Chip. You ever heard of Chip? Chip, somebody knows his last name, chime in. Starts with a P.
Chip Prezi?
Yes,
Yeah,
that
Chip a
guy.
Kid.
Yeah, that was him sitting there sleeping. And thankfully, he knew the area quite well. And after he was done asking me, how did I get so stupid to get this far off the route, he directed me back to the correct way at about 1:00 in the morning. But Deadwood, I'm riding through there, and I guess it was for me like riding through Vegas, all lit up and cool. I was just blown away, amazed. But yeah, it's a beautiful place.
It was a beautiful place. We rode through it. We went up just south of Deadwood. You go into Lead because it was 2 weeks or so before I got over the last summer. Two Lane Life was there, and they went to this bar called the Boar's Nest, the coolest bar up there, just on the south end of Lead. You had the old big timber bar. You had the balcony outside, and then you'd walk outside, and there's like a 3-tiered grass area. So they had tables, on the grass, and all the way down to the creek. And there was actually steel posts in the creek with old tractor seats, so you could go sit in the creek and rest your feet in the water when it's hot. And it was, I got some pictures. I'll send you some of those of the Boar's Nest. It was the most coolest place, and we found it because I'd told Jason about it because Two Lane Life was there, and I'd followed their story. It's like, oh shit, we got to check this place out when we're over there. And so me and Jason, my son Hayden, went and checked it out, and it was freaking cool.
Yeah, I got in some creek. I got in one creek on Hoka Hey. I stopped for gas so I could smell myself. And, I'm trying. It was somewhere between, we had just gone through the Nevada desert, but I wasn't to South Lake Tahoe yet. It was somewhere in that stretch. And so I took my boots off and I carried some tennis shoes with me, and I put the tennis shoes on and got in the creek, gear and all, took my helmet in and just rinsed it a whole bunch of times and just kind of washed me, the gear, everything inside and out. And that helped quite a bit with the smell. Got back on the bike and continued on. But yeah, I like those little creek baths and sitting, putting my feet in the creek.
Also, Sparks at a few places. I remember talking to him. I think it might have been like day 3 or something. He's like, you just take the clothes off you're wearing and literally throw them in the garbage and just put new ones on. He's like, so he felt sorry for some people that went in the bathroom after he did when he left all of his dirty clothes in the garbage can.
It's funny. Turbo had said something uh, about, oh, he was showing me his room when I was visiting there before Hoka Hey, and he had one of Riot's race jerseys from, I don't know if it's a Hoka Hey or some event, and he sort of alluded to the fact that he could hang one of mine or something, and I thought, okay, challenge accepted. So I wore the same shirt 14 days, uh, you know, and it got one creek bath, and I wore it into the shower. I actually did a truck stop shower one night, but other than that, every 3 days I would change underwear and socks and wipe down with dude wipes and throw the underwear and socks away because they weren't going home
No.
with me, and just keep moving. Took a pack of brand new underwear, brand new socks, and just use and threw away. But yeah, that's I think, and I may be telling on Hop here. I think it was Hop that I asked him something about taking a shower on the road when you're doing Hoka, and he said you're only going to be out there 10 or 11 days. Thinking, okay,
Only.
brother. Yeah. I knew I wasn't going to be out there only 10 or 11 days. I was counting on a few more than that for myself, so I kind of prepped a little bit for that. But yeah, that was nothing but fun. Then, so August, that's my crazy August. It's going to be an easy up and back on that. September, Turbo's birthday is September 16th.
Yes, it is.
16 years old. Now, here are a few of you guys from up there coming. Well,
That's planned.
That's planned. I'm going to do this Mile Monster ride called Town Hero. I don't know if you've read that one.
I remember seeing it. Even Ryan said he's
yeah.
never showered on the Hoka Hey.
I'm a wimp, okay? I can't help it. I'm going to take a shower. But this Town Hero ride, you have to have a picture of the welcome to sign of the hometown of the first four boys. Well, Alfie obviously lives in Ireland, so they chose. Oh, there's my Alfie shirt over on the side. They chose Boston because Boston has this huge per capita Irish population, and so basically the ride is, and I mean there's if you start at the West Coast or at the East Coast, it makes it a little shorter, but I'm stuck in the middle. So I'll go from here to San Antonio, to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to Boston, and then all the way across country to Irvine, California, which is 5,220 miles. And they give us a nice cushion. They give us 96 hours to do this. And I don't know who came up with these, trying to kill us numbers, but it just sounded like fun. It just sounded like, because you kind of break it down to days. You got to do 2 BBGs and 2 SS1Ks and a big trip around the block in 4 days, and you can make it. And my whole thing with this is I'm going to try to make 24 Hoka Hey a little easier by having road like hell between 2022 and 2024, if that makes any sense.
Sure. So the goal is to shorten it by a day to finish?
Yeah, I want to shorten it. I want to cut a day off of it. I mean, and it's hard because it's not the same route. So you don't know how difficult or how long, but I just want to be more rider prepared as far as the ability to not be so worn out. And then I want to be a little more focused on time management for 24, because I'm not going to ride fast. I just don't ride fast. I'm not going to speed up to cut time. I need to be better in other areas. So that's kind of where I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, you hit you get to consistencies, like, when we talked beforehand, and, from other guys that I've spoke to that, within the long distance, the IBA guys is, it's like pulling into, get fuel. Do it the same every time. Pull into a gas pump, like either always on your left, always on your right, pull up same place. You start the little things that you can do to to make yourself faster in certain ways, so it's less time off the bike and or less time stopped than not riding. And
Yeah.
it's just the little things that where you get consistent, you do it same and same, so you build that muscle memory, so to speak, of
Yeah.
it, and you keep going.
Yeah, part of the part of the deal with me, and we've talked about this. I mean, I rode Hoka Hey, and I will ride Hoka Hey, and I do IBA rides, and I certify those. All of that to me um, is secondary to mile monsters. Um, I don't think I would be doing any of that if it wasn't um, because I ride for the boys. So at every stop, every ride I make at every stop, I intentionally try to engage somebody in a conversation
Hmm.
uh, about mile monsters. And I pass out the bracelets and the poker chips and the cards and just anything to try to spread awareness. And so I've got to and Riot, like I told Riot, printed me some business cards with wrong way on it. I've just got to work on just a very brief because when you ride bikes that look like ours with the stickers, tank, whatever, it draws attention,
Right.
which is a good thing. You just have to learn how to economically, efficiently deal with that. I don't want to be rude because I want to talk to people. I want to spread the word and give them, something in their hand that they can, guides them to a website, a place where they can learn and donate and all that. So I've got to be more efficient about that on the Hoka Hey stops because you're stopping for gas so often. And I was probably spending easy 15, 20 minutes per stop on that. And I've got to cut that down with that and still be able to accomplish the goal, of spreading.
Well,
Uh,
I think if you look at the overall number of gas stops, if you cut that in half, that's damn near a 3/4 of a day.
yeah. Yeah. There's probably easy day, if I could shorten up and it's just a matter of, learning, how just the quickest way to say something, be nice, give them some stuff, and get on the bike and go, type of thing. Which I'll figure that out. That's all part of it. But I'm definitely not going to leave that out um, in the interest of cutting a day off. If I could learn how to navigate a little better, I could cut the day off. Yeah,
Yeah, but
okay.
we don't want to have to change your pass, right way.
No, that'd be downright hilarious. Yeah, it's funny. I filled in on July 4th for somebody, uh, a Monster 100. My wife's off helping our youngest move. Nobody's home. That opportunity came up. I'm like, sure, I'll ride. I was supposed to pick up my bike the next day from being fixed. It wasn't fixed. Hop loaned me his bike. I did a map on Google Maps. I took off, went and rode it, and I get almost home, and I'm like 30 miles short. And I'm like, where did I screw this ride up at? And so ended up having to add a loop once I got home to get some miles in. And then I get home and look at the map I had created. Yeah, just like me, I made a wrong turn, missed about 30 miles of my route. So, yeah, I mean, I laugh at it. It's just,
I guess so. If you make it this way, we take a ride. We'll just we'll follow my map, and you can just follow along.
yeah. Oh, I tell people that, we go for a ride. I said, hey, if it's your ride, you make sure you know where we're going. Because if it's my ride, we're going to go somewhere. We'll end up there, but we're just going to go somewhere type of thing. But yeah, Hoka was, I made a lot of funny directional mistakes. The very first one, we were on a road that was going quite a few miles. I don't remember if it was 50 or 100 miles. And so, I'm rolling along, not thinking this is some back road, county road, or state highway. It's going to turn 20 times in those 50 miles. So I roll through this town and I roll on, and I'm rolling for quite a ways before I realized there's something ain't right. And so I pull over, and my joke is I have this navigational technique called ATL, ask the locals. I just park the bike in the road and stand there till a car comes by. And, out in the middle of nowhere, people always stop. And I asked them about so-and-so road, and they said, oh, you got to go back about 40 miles. So I wanted to know why I missed it. So I rode back, and, I'm in that town, and I went all the way back through the town and turned around to come back through the town, still never saw a sign. Well, then I finally figured out there's a Coca-Cola delivery truck parked on the side of the road right in front of the sign. So never would have seen it. So
The little things.
Yeah, you've just got to pick up the little things like that, because you're not, I love having a, turn right here navigation system. I mean, that's my way of getting somewhere without getting too lost. But when you've got to try to figure it out yourself, you got to pay a little more attention, and obviously wasn't doing a whole bunch of that. But it was
See,
good.
that's what I like with some of my rides, like when I go to Eastern Washington routes. It's like I know a lot of the ways through Western Washington, getting over the Cascades, and it's like we got over there, and Frank's like, hey, so you know where you're going? I'm like, no, Frank, this is your neck of the woods. So I meet up with old Frankie Mountains. I'm like, now you lead and get us to here. And he's like, oh yeah, no problem. I did this last week. I'm like, perfect, let's go.
Yeah, it's nice to ride with people, who know where they're going and get you there. That makes life a little bit easier.
I mean, I knew some of the ways. I mean, some of the highways, but it's like getting from Natchez, Washington to Othello. It's like I've been on part of that highway, but it's like, and this is Frank's backyard, and told me, oh yeah, no problem. We'll here, and let's detour over here to go to the Harley shop, and stopped it at Apple State Harley-Davidson. He was talking about what we're doing, so the guys came out, gave us free poker chips and some other stuff. Say, hey, thanks for stopping by, and it was super cool. Then back on the run, and it's fun. I love riding with Frank. Frank is the coolest guy to hang out with and ride with. He's just easy going, and he's just fun.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping for after Hoka Hey 24. If I make it to the finish line one piece, bikes in one piece, I'm going to come back down through Washington, and I'm going to get with you and Frank, and I'd like to spend 3 or 4 or 5 days just seeing that, because I've never ridden that area at all.
The funniest thing that I found, and I've noticed with Frank, especially like, you're doing a saddle sore or whatnot, you'll see Frank, we're at a gas station, you're getting fuel, you check some on your phone, post a picture, get your gas receipt uploaded, and there's Frank leaning back, open his saddlebag. He pulls out a sub sandwich, and he's eating. Like, where the hell did you get that? I packed some sandwiches. It's like he's got these sub sandwiches in his saddlebag, and he just munching on them all day long. Every stop you see him reach back, open his bag, eating the sub sandwich.
I packed my tank bag full of goodies, protein bars, M&Ms, pecans, almonds, walnuts, beef jerky, and I nibble all day.
See, I got to make some adjustment. I mean, I bought a tank bag. I should have known. I mean, it wasn't that much on Amazon, but it's like the picture of it, it's on like a Harley-Davidson gas tank and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But the magnets are so shitty at like 60 miles an hour, it's flopping. It's wanting to come off the tank. And so I'm riding with one arm on it, but it's got some hooks. So I'm going to have to make some little hooks will go down under the seat, and maybe 2 other ones that'll come up from by the neck of the frame to clip onto the front of it to hold it down. But it is nice to have it for that aspect. I've seen so many guys, yourself pictures, like that'd be great. Some little snacks, plus the GoPro in there and whatnot, just kind of munch while you're going down the road. But yeah, the one I bought sucks. So I'm going to have to figure out another way to make it better.
I don't know what the brand name is. The one I got, I had hung something out there on Facebook of, back when I was first getting stuff ready, about tank bags. And I was looking at people's pictures on their bikes, and I think Ken Andrews is the one that sent me the link to the one that I've got, and it just works out great. It's got some little bungee pockets inside, so I stuff Mile Monster bracelets and poker chips and all that in there, and just keep all the goodies I need for a ride. Restock it for every ride on that. Back to who's going down to Turbos from up there? You and Frankie?
I think Michael Nielsen is planning on going.
Okay.
He's Two Wheels to Survive. He's, rode Monsters Over Mountains with us. And I'm not totally sure who else yet.
Yeah, you're going to enjoy that. He's such a cool kid. I went out there. I was out there the weekend. Well, the weekend after Frank went down, and it was a weekend it snowed out there. It was crazy, snowing in Southern California. But we were supposed to go to 2 car shows. One of them ended up getting canceled because of the weather. So we did a lot of indoor stuff. We went to the local Porsche dealer, and I mean, they just loved him there because he knew as much about Porsches as the sales manager who was showing us around. I mean, Turbo was blowing my mind and blowing that guy's mind. We went to a couple of museums and just had just a ton of fun. Then got to go to a car show the next day called Supercars by the Sea, and it was full of Lamborghinis and McLarens and Porsches and Ferraris and all that. And he knows those cars up one side, down the other. It was impressive. See the owners of the car sitting there blown away by what he knew about their car. He's just a cool kid. You're going to really enjoy that visit.
It'll be fun to meet him up at South Dakota. I know my wife's really taking a liking to him too, so we're really looking forward to seeing him and getting to meet him up there too. It'll be really fun.
Have you met any of the boys?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Just on Facebook, and I've had Turbo was on. He was on an episode, and we got a surprise riot here a few months back, which was that was a pretty cool little moment.
Yeah, they're all super cool, and so different. It's really interesting. They're just, you can imagine kids, Turbo, he's 15. I think Goat's 8. If I'm right, or is he 9? I don't know. He's close to that, but there's age spread and they're all totally different. But the coolest part for me, the parents are all so involved in the kid's life, and it's a great family balance between the boys, their sibling, mom and dad. It's just they're so much fun to hang out with. I mean, just well behaved, fun, cutting up. Mom and dad's, every one of them's just great. You're gonna love the hell out of it. It's really cool. It makes it so much fun to want to go see them because they're so cool and so welcoming to all the monster riders that show up. It's really a lot of fun. I enjoy the hell out of it. And I'll get to meet. Damn, I just lost his name. I'm feeling so bad. The new guy, the little guy, Alfie's buddy. Somebody help me out here. Damn, it's hell to get old. Jack. Yeah, Jack Hammer. Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting him and his mom. Haven't met them yet, but he seems like a super cool dude. Alfie's buddy. Yeah. Alfie's cool. Yeah, so it's gonna be fun. I love doing the whole. I mean, Mile Monsters. They advertise the saying is helping kids live their best life. Let me tell you what, Mile Monsters helping bikers live their best life.
That's a damn good point. Very true.
I mean, it's fabulous.
When we can do something we enjoy, because we all enjoy riding, and we can do it for something absolutely awesome, an amazing cause, and helping these boys. I mean, how can you not? It's a win-win.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and meeting so many, cool, crazy people, so different. I mean, Mile Monster leadership, you got Riot and Hop and Twister. Those 3 are as different as night and day, but, all just, totally cool in their own way. And then, all the different riders, there's, every background known to man. There's, the club riders and the tourist riders and everybody else. And the fact that everybody pulls together, to do what it takes so these boys can live their best life is just totally cool.
Absolutely.
Love being part of that. It's a ton of fun. Hope it goes on for many, many years. I mean, that's my goal on that.
Right there. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
Well said.
That's exactly right. And it is a cool thing.
That needs to be a sticker right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that is that's a good saying. Really fits in. Well, you're talking about that. When I found out I had volunteered to ride July 4th, and then next day found out I wasn't going to have a bike, I thought to myself, what a bummer. And I'm sitting here looking in my garage, what I could ride that's in here, and there's nothing I wanted to go do 1,000 miles on. Uh,
Wait, you
in
didn't want to do
here,
anything on a chopped down softail?
no, not at all. I get on that baby doll's little bike's like a clown bike. And so I thought I'll just hang something out on Facebook and maybe somebody will loan me a bike. And I mean, it was like 13 or 14 people offered bikes. I got phone calls offering 3 or 4 more. And people are like, just give me your address. I'll trailer it to you. I mean, far away as Beaumont. I'm thinking to myself, gee whiz, this is just, uh, and really secretly, it's kind of funny. Secretly, I was hoping, I said, I hope Hop comes on and says you can use mine because he's got a 21 Road Glide, which is what I rode. He's got an auxiliary tank on there, which I'm spoiled rotten to not having to stop for gas. And so it would have been,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? The whole picture would have been the easiest way to ride. And he did. He offered his bike and I rode it. And it did make it, easy. Plus, I got introduced to aftermarket suspension. That bike, man, let me tell you what. Yeah, when I get the new one, it's getting the suspension's going away quick. There's a world of difference between stock and that.
100%. I found that out. I mean, I'm just running, middle grade with progressive, but holy crap, it is an amazing difference over stock. The
Yeah,
handling, coming into corners, you don't get the dive in the front end, and they really hug the road. And, you hear about people talking what a difference it makes. And then until you actually ride one, and, when you get rid of the stock suspension, go to something that's a lot better. It's like, holy crap, man, I should have done this a long time ago.
yeah. I'd never ridden a bike that had the any quality aftermarket suspension, and I'd heard Hop and Riot and or Honor. She's got it. All of them talk about that, and then Frosty had hers done in February when she was down here, and she talks about how the difference. And so everybody kept saying, "You just got to ride a bike and see." Well, I put 1,000 miles on one, and I saw. And so
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to
So,
go that.
so when you get the new bike, you gonna keep with the old Shark Nation and go road glide again?
Oh yeah, this will be my
Okay, good.
5th Road Glide.
That's good.
Um,
I was hoping you weren't gonna go with the Batwing. I wouldn't have to end this right now and
no,
kick you out. So
um,
no, I was kidding.
I had a Batwing. I'm trying to think if it was a '08 or a 9 or something around that time. Um, and first time I rode a road glide, the difference in the handling because of the effect of the wind, it's so different,
It's a
and the
big
lightness.
difference,
Yeah, the
big time.
lightness of the steering, and the fact that it felt bigger because the fairing makes everything so much further away.
It does, but it's
It
like you're
felt.
saying, lightness of the fairing because you don't have with the road glides your frame mounted, and the Batwings, the frame you have that extra weight on the forks,
Yeah, yeah. When
and
there's any wind moving it too, it just you're doing battle with that. But yeah, I'm going to go with the same Road Glide Special, which is what
yeah,
the last 3 have been, and just I typically I don't ride normal color bikes. I've never had a white bike, a black bike. They've always been something a little either some hard candy custom or this current one is that snake venom.
the
Uh,
snake venom is a beautiful color though.
yeah, I walked in the dealership and saw it, and I, had to have it and bought it. I'm just sad it's turned out to be,
A
just a
lemon,
breakdown. Yeah, I mean, it's what it is.
yeah.
It's going away, and that's that. But for 23, they've got this crazy gold color that the gold and the black. If you get one that's blacked out, the high school I went to, that was colors gold and black. So when I saw it, it was kind of a retro appeal to me, and so I'm going to go with that color. Every dealer around's got one. Um, the dealer that I have done business with that's closest to me was very recently purchased by a corporation out of California. Um, and, with just trying to be reasonably nice, they responded like an individual dealing with a corporation to me with the repair and with trying to purchase one. So, sadly, I'm going to have to go across town. But hop and twister deal with a dealership across town that is just really known to be
Isn't
exceptional.
that Republic Harley they deal with?
Republic, that is
Yeah.
correct, Republic. And so that will be the new home a long way. Yeah, I mean, it's cross town, but hey, if it's what's right, it's what's right.
Exactly. When it's a place that wants to do, I mean, they all want to move bikes, but when they can, not so much pushy and over the top and, make you feel like part of the family, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been over there quite a few times recently because Hop did a couple seminars over there, and I went to those. A guy that I work with wanted to buy a bike, and the gentleman that I used to buy bikes from moved over there and worked there for a little while. So I've been over there, and it's just a whole different atmosphere.
So
there.
most of the same black and gold high school colors. He's curious what high school you went to.
Oh, that's Galena Park High School. Galena Park High School is on the southeast side of Houston. You familiar with that, Moose?
I'll go cross country for a good dealer. And it's like, for us over here, in Washington, I think one of the places that gets the best reviews when it comes to sales and service, their main everything they do for us is Eastside Harley-Davidson. I mean, Frank swears by him, buddy Michael Nielsen swears by him, and a few other guys I know. Eastside goes above and beyond. And, it's like when Frank blew out his wheel, was that 3 months ago? Right on I-90, cracked a wheel. They called another dealership, got a wheel off a bike off they had, and sent it to him because his new wheel, he couldn't get a wheel replaced for like 5 months.
Yeah. And that's going above and beyond.
Yeah.
That's doing great. Well, I see that. I see y'all guys talk about that dealer, and I see Ken talks about a dealer that he deals with. And, there's a handful of the guys talk about their dealers. And I experienced a dealership that if I was anywhere near, I would buy from Trips Harley-Davidson in Amarillo. Just when I was on the way to Rendezvous, and that was just a month ago, had a wheel bearing fail. They said, we've got the parts, we got the guys, we'll wait for you, whatever it takes. Just get the bike here. And man, I wasn't in there an hour, maybe hour and 20 minutes. 2 wheel bearings, speed sensor, and a new tire. And only thing I had to pay for the tire. They didn't charge me any labor for the tire because they were already doing everything else under warranty. And I mean, just in and out, and just as nice as they could be. That kind of service would cause me to do business there if I wasn't, 8 hours away. But yeah, somebody just said they'd ride across country for a good dealer. And that is true.
That was Riot.
Okay, that is true. But I mean, what makes me think, the only thing makes me think differently is what if I get a bike that breaks down as much as this one? I need a relationship with a shop.
Well, it's like my dad, when he bought his 19 roadglide from Northwest Harley-Davidson in Lacey, Washington, they sold him a lifetime powertrain warranty as long as they're doing the maintenance on it. They do everything on it, then it's lifetime warranty. And he got to about 25,000, said, fuck this, I'm tired of taking it over there. And
yeah,
that's when he said, screw that. That's when he, put the cams in it, put the true duals on it, upgraded the oil pump, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and said, I'm done. Yeah. He's like, it's been great for 25. It should be good to go.
Yeah, well, my 18 went over 100,000 miles and never broke down. My 15 went over 100,000, never broke down. The 13, I put one voltage regulator on it. It went over 100,000. My 10 went over 100,000, never broke down. So I wasn't used to, never even having to think about, is there a service department? It was just a matter of getting a good deal on a bike.
Right.
And I'm hoping this new bike changes my mind back to that way of thinking. Because
I also think I've been very, very fortunate with my 04. I mean, I've done 2 voltage regulators and 2 stators, and unfortunately, I replaced the regulator and stator, and then those failed within 5,000 miles. When I went to the Hoka Hey, my bike was a Black Hills Harley all day Saturday getting worked on.
Yeah.
Fluke, I don't know, but that's the only time mine's ever seen a shop. And I mean, I'm the second owner. My dad was the first. I have every maintenance record from day one, but I guess it's what it is. It's been great, knock on wood. And, I'd like to think that, with any of these bikes, like you keep up on the regular maintenance, you take care of them, they're going to take care of you.
Yeah. And that's always worked, for me till this one. This one, I'm just going to, chalk it up to, something, just a bad build, a bad something, get another one and keep rolling.
Keep riding.
Yeah. It's, the long history of bikes not breaking. I'm not, a couple of people are like, well, you need to change brands. You need to do this. You need to do that. No, not because of one bike. I get 2 in a row like that. I'll think about it, but one bad bike, I'll put that off to the side and get another one.
Just chalk that up as a lemon.
Yeah. And move on. No big deal.
Yep. Exactly.
Like my wife said, you didn't die, did you? Like,
exactly. We ride on.
That's our answer to everything. You didn't die, did you? And so,
that's the perfect way to end it. So, man, Wrong Way, thanks for coming on and hanging out tonight, man. It's been a lot of fun. That's been one fast ass hour and a half. I'll tell you what.
That is. I was like, damn, I just saw that clock and I'm like, man, where'd that go? I enjoyed the hell out of it, brother. Can't wait to see you live and in person in South Dakota next month. And,
heck yeah. It's going to be in a couple weeks. Really. It's like 3.5 weeks.
Okay. It's close.
Yeah, it's close. Man, thanks everybody for tuning in. Man, this has been a lot of fun. It's always fun all these are fun. You get to interact with people that are part of the community, love riding, and we all enjoy motorcycles. You got that common ground, but it's just so much fun to do this stuff and chit chat. And, I enjoy it, man. Thanks, Michael. Wrong Way. It's been a good time. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Stay tuned. Next week is we check off Milepost 106 next week, right there. There it is, the Mile Monsters Inc., the medicine wheel.
Cool, brother. Right. We'll talk to you later.
Hey, you guys ride safe, have fun. We will catch you next Sunday, 5 o'clock.